Hi guys, I'm GC13.
And I'm David. We loved the first season of Infinity Train, and with its premiere 2 months behind us, we're finally ready to go back and take an in-depth look at the show.
As the first episode of Tulip's story, the grid car has the duty of establishing what the other 9 episodes are going to have to deal with. And, while it may not be the first thing the episode establishes, the divorce of Tulip's parents is probably the most important theme that it sets up.
Almost every Cartoon Network cartoon features kids with single parents, and frequently that just means that one parent is entirely out of the picture. But here, Tulip's divorced parents are handled in a really blunt manner that actually affects the entire feeling of the show.
It is very uncomfortable, not just for Tulip, but for the viewer as well. I mean, it was obviously bad enough for Tulip to have the train come to her, after all. Me personally, I was really hoping that the series would just be done, that the divorce would be in the rearview mirror once we got onto the train, but clearly that's not what we got.
And there's subtle reminders of the divorce everywhere in this first episode. As Tulip storms upstairs, we see their family portrait still hanging on the staircase. Tulip's mom never took it down. Also, Tulip's mom is sort of forcing a smile as she calls up to Tulip telling her that her dad's on the phone. You can tell that between Tulip's mom and her dad, they really haven't figured out this transition. Tulip's in a pretty fragile state too, but her frustration is understandable because her parents are seemingly not prioritizing her, at least from her perspective. Also, her dad is really bad at trying to calm her down over text, because, sorry dads, emojis don't help reduce your text's emotional impact.
The grid car was also responsible for establishing Tulip as a character, making it clear to us who she is so we know what to expect from her as she tackles the adventure of the train.
I like how it's established how scientific and quick Tulip is. She immediately comes to her senses as soon as she's in the train, and she's determined that she had a hallucination.
And, as she proceeds along the way and she encounters the 3 snowmen, her rapid-fire vandalization of them is a great way to add a flippant tone to her character.
She also quickly determines that 1-1 is somehow a weirdly advanced robot. I like that she actually notes that the AI is more advanced than anything we normally have. But at the same time, she's a typical Gen Zer because she has no idea what the inside of a train actually is like when she says,
Is this what trains are like?
"Yes!" Tulip is also shown to be an authentic kid coder, and I think they took a lot of care into building that the right way. Even from her appearance in the pilot to here, they redesigned her glasses pretty late to make her even look like less wide-eyed and smarter instead of bookwormy. But then as far as the background details of like her room go, they nail a ton of things. They have a specific VGA or DVI cable hooked up to an older monitor and an old beige printer on her desk, and she has pieces of tape stuck to the corner of it, and there's neglected bowls and plates everywhere and even water cup stains, and she even has a really old Android phone that always seems to be at 50% by the end of the day, which is great.
Finally, in a really big moment, we get to see the train, what it looks like as you exit a car. Talk about whoa.
The world that the train is contained in is basically hell. It's horrifying looking desert, and of course we see a man getting disintegrated by some crazy portal beam from the train. Of course, we think maybe now, with the perspective from the end of the series, that he was actually probably fine, but that's not what Tulip sees here.
Yeah, all Tulip sees is a man being disintegrated. It's not until much later in the series that we think this is our first glimpse of somebody getting their number down to 0.
Yet, even though the train is supposed to have a positive mission, the world around it is completely at odds with it. The horrifying gomes that Tulip experiences, we still don't really understand their motivation. I mean, they just tried to suck the soul out of Tulip and otherwise violently attack her.
They could be a piece of symbolism. I want to know, though, is that car a death trap for the next poor unfortunate passenger to pass through it? I figure all the cars reset themselves somehow, but will that mean that there's now a free gome wandering around in it, or will that somehow remove it from the car? Food for thought.
Yeah, hopefully it gets removed because gomes basically kill you, so that would be really unfortunate. You'd think the train, if it is trying to work toward people's benefit, would handle situations like this.
It is worth noting, though, that Tulip was able to survive against the Gome, and as an added benefit of their threat, she now no longer wants to leave the train, except by the officially sanctioned method of getting her number down to 0, which means she will finally have resolved her conflicted feelings about the divorce, or I should say her very negative feelings about the divorce.
I will say, though, she was able to pretty easily manage her way back up on top of the train into where the door of one of the cars was, and I feel like she could have climbed to the roof of the train and kept on her journey, but of course she was pulled in by how exciting the interior of each train was. So I think that gives us a pretty good reason as to why she didn't try just hopping along the roof. Plus, the Gomes can fly, so that keeps her pretty much on the interior of cars for the rest of the season.
And finally, we do have a few other observations about the episode. One that applies to the entire series is that we have another series where the showrunner voices an important character. In this case, the creator voices Sad One, the sad personality of 1-1.
Are you looking for your bagel mother too?
And I am just very curious to know what would have happened if Tulip had tried to walk past the snowman that was the exit to her car. Would the snowscape have just gone on forever? Would there be an invisible wall at some point? We just don't know.
1-1 definitely had a moment for me that was super special in this episode, which was the way that he broke the tension of the getaway from the Gomes with a, in his words, wacky getaway song. Which he says that he wrote it, but that is definitely a public domain song.
It definitely was a scary scene, and I don't think he managed to cut the tension the way he wanted to, but points to 1-1 for trying. Anyway, those are our thoughts on the grid car. We'll be coming back to the other 9 episodes of the series over time. Don't forget to like the video, leave us a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Later, everybody.
Until next time, nerds.